Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Now, for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us now, the only male anchor on set today.
Lots of girl power. We love to see it.
Girl power.
Good morning, OG. Good morning, Vimbai. Good morning, Adefemi. Good morning to all our viewers out there. We begin with some breaking news this morning. So the Chicago Mercantile Exchange has suffered a glitch. And this is a really important exchange because they trade derivatives. Derivatives are assets that trade using an underlying asset. So you've got S&P 500 futures that are this is futures now. Futures are before the markets officially open. They give you a guide as to how the markets are going to trade. So your S&P 500 in the US, NASDAQ 100, Russell 2000, Dow Jones, then also FX as well. The SORF, which is I think a standard finance rates, the Euro FX, Japanese yen, British pound, and then your commodities, oil, copper, gold, natural gas. According to their statement, this has something to do with a data center in Dallas, Texas. They put this out saying due to a cooling issue at Cyrus One data centers is in Dallas, our markets are currently halted. Support is working to resolve the issue in the near term and will advise clients of pre-open details as soon as they're available. They are very fortunate that it's Thanksgiving holiday period because the US markets were closed yesterday and there's very thin trading today. So trading volumes are thin. Last time this happened, I think it was 2019. Again, this just brings the whole electricity, water cooling around data centers and how you live by the technology, you die by the tech. And so they might actually face a fine from regulators for this, but they're fortunate. They really have to get this sorted out before Monday when trading, officially, will really actually pick up in heavy volume. So we'll find out what happens, how that's sorted out. Asia markets are mixed. Adefemi was just talking about that terrible fire in Hong Kong. A lot of private sector folks, Alibaba and other companies are coming together with a fund to try to crowdsource for that. The government I hear is giving about the equivalent of $1,300 to affected families, but they're saying that's not enough money, considering how expensive housing is in Hong Kong. Shanghai Composite, it's very volatile. So you got green, red, green, red, green, red. Very volatile across a mixed trading day for Asia. Volumes again thin following because of the fact that Asia likes to track what happens in the US, and because the US markets are closed, not really much in terms of action. But we did get Tokyo inflation, which gives, it's the main capital of Japan, which gives some kind of idea as to what inflation is going to be like across the broader part of the nation. So headline coming in at 2.7% year on year. The September number was 2.8, so it did edge down a bit. Your core inflation is where you take out volatile food and energy, 2.8. I was at 2.7 prior, but look at this. This is your key here. The Bank of Japan's targets for interest rates is 2%. So the fact that this is still elevated, we've had rice shortages in Japan. We've had a lot of wage negotiations where people who are working, the unions, one of them actually came out and said Takeichi has to focus on the everyday Japanese citizen who is facing elevated price pressures. So this means that the Bank of Japan is likely on target to increase its benchmark rate at its next meeting. So basically, cost of living is still on an elevated level over in the land of the rising sun. This is the latest pair of glasses from Alibaba. Alibaba, of course, has been in the news. We went over their earnings here, where their profits dropped because of subsidies for e-commerce and the competition they're facing from Meituan and JD.com. We also talked about the amount of money they're spending on their own AI data centers. So these new glasses are supposed to challenge Meta. Meta, of course, has its own AI glasses, and it's all about ecosystem. So this is supposed to connect to Alipay, and there's another e-commerce platform they have, I think, called Taibo. So where you use the glasses, you can see what you want to purchase. It's got microphones there and so on and so forth, and it's priced a little bit. It's more affordable than the Meta glasses. Right now, it's only available in China, but they've indicated that they might actually release them in 2026 across the rest of the market. So that's another Christmas item that we could see being purchased there. Speaking of Christmas, it's Black Friday, of course. All eyes on the US retailer, the UK retailer. In the UK, we just had the budget from Rachel Reeves. Consumer confidence is a little bit down because of cost of living and so on and so forth. But it is expected that retailers that want to get rid of elevated inventory will likely be giving out aggressive discounts in order to just clear out inventory for 2025. We had all the tariff stuff, which didn't really, materialize in terms of inflation as much as we expected. But all eyes, by Monday, we're going to get a grip on exactly, how much was sold and the type of how well the U.S. consumer is doing. So I guess, Cyber Monday. Meanwhile, the Lagos State's Tourism, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, that's Mrs. Toke Benson Awoyinka, the commissioner, they held their stakeholders meeting, summit rather, for the hospitality sector, for the tourism sector and so on. And this is the Commissioner for Transportation. Speaking of transportation, this is the head of LASMA. LASMA is going to be increasing its manpower this Christmas period. This is the head of the Lagos waterways. They are all expecting a surge. You can see a number of the agencies that attended this summit pretty much preparing for they're calling it Greater Lagos, but that, of course, is couched into the quote-unquote Dirty December, with an expected increase in travelers coming in. We've already, Business Day had a headline, or was it this day, I think, about airline prices rising coming into Nigeria. There's been a number of social media posts from people in the UK saying how much it is to come costing to fly. So pretty much they're getting ready for it. But beyond that, Lagos wants to have tourist inflows, elevated tourist inflows for the full year. So they don't just want to make it a December thing. They do want it to be something that is constant throughout the year. So there was a lot of conversations, particularly with hotel or restaurant managers, people that operate lounges, about how that can be maintained. Also on the policy side as well, the business environment and the likes. Going to the NGX, it has been a volatile week for stocks in Nigeria. We were up on Monday, we were down on Tuesday, we were up on Wednesday. No, hold on. Do I have that backwards? We're down. No, we were up on Monday, down Tuesday, up Wednesday, if I think I have that correctly, and then up Thursday. So, 0.12%, 143,000 points is where the market closed. We're up at 39.17. Remember, at one point we were up 50%, but I think we're getting towards the holiday period. There's a bit of profit taking. People who've made a lot of money on the market starting to pull out, they're starting to sell off to try to couch and to get their profit. So that's what we're seeing there with the exchange. And then, very interesting story in the Business Day with respect to the withdrawals, the official withdrawals of police from VIP. So you can see this headline says, police withdrawal order to upend 108 billion VIP security economy. They just basically calculated an estimate of how many police officers, which is I think just under 100,000 or so, that are attached to VIPs. And the fact that the private sector pays more for these police to be attached to them. And that money is supposed to be funneled back to the government, since this is, the police is federal, but some of it is diverted. But pretty much we're supposed to gain from police an upsurge of police coming back to communities. But there is a story here about the private security as the business of the private security and the amount of money that these folks are paying for security. So it's all part of the insecurity conversation that we've been having in the country so far. That's our update for today.
Our just feminists. Thank you.
Thank you. Several takeaways this weekend in Japan. I don't envy the new PM at all, because with the way things look currently, I read a report, I believe it was Bloomberg, I think you must have taken it earlier in the week, saying that it's highly likely that some currency intervention is going to be needed to stabilize the yen. And then the row with China is not going anywhere anytime soon, and that's that's affecting exports, of course, with the seafood ban and so forth. And I believe that's still on, that's not yet resolved. And then to add another layer to that are pressures around tourism and wanting to make visas tougher and wanting to make it difficult for foreigners to come into Japan. So add that to inflation issues, a rate hike, and so forth. There's a lot of moving pieces that need to be coordinated to bring some type of sanity and stability to the Japanese economy. And I wonder how long an anti-immigration stance is going to be able to be sustained when we know that one of the biggest issues at the core of all of this is, if I may call it, the age crisis.
Perfect.
They need young people. They need people to come in. I don't know where they're going to manufacture people from. They said they don't want us, or they don't want African cities. They don't want. So I'm not sure. They also said they don't want the Indians. So I'm not sure how Japan is going to grow its population, productive population, to be able, because these are just the early warning signs of, I think, a bigger crisis that's looming. Then 108 billion naira on the Nigerian security economy, VIP security economy. Interesting that the global VIP security economy is now valued at about $6.8 billion. And when I was reading some reports, they're attributing that to social media. People are more visible now. We have more celebrities now than we've had in history. And everybody, wants that ambiance of importance. But our own peculiar, nuance is that we now tap into state resources as opposed to the private VIP security economy. Where is this 108 billion naira going? Because, of course, we know it's paid to the police stations and so forth. Because, in essence, this is supposed to be some sort of a tax or a government revenue.
Exactly.
But I don't think it's recorded in our budgets. I don't think. And that is a lot of money sitting in a lot of people's hands. However, the light at the end of the tunnel is that it's also an opportunity for the private VIP protection industry to tap in, because that is a lot of money.
It is.
Yes, I agree with you 101%. That's a lot of money for that private VIP. So 108 billion naira. Now, when you say it will upend the economy, is that money injected into the federal government coffers, or is it injected into the state? Those are the questions. And I like Bimbai rightly said, the private VIP should, take advantage of this particular, story. But, I also wanted to talk about the Alibaba glasses. I know you love AI, you're always into AI. And I don't know, are they going to inject this, to other countries besides China? Do you know if it's going to be in, other
So it's China.
In China.
It's China for now, but they're saying they're looking at possibly expanding into other markets. I just want to see how the sales are going to perform so far in China. And then they go 2026. They might actually expand out to other countries.
And I know that they're making 3 different variations of this particular glasses. But it'd be interesting to have a pair of these AI glasses. This for me got
one of our colleagues has the Meta Ray-Ban. I won't say who that person is, but you might know who that is.
Is there any X-ray involved in the glasses?
Well, that's a good question. That was pointed out, but they don't want, because of privacy concerns, they don't want to do any X-rays. And then I think there's a light that blinks so that you know that the person you're talking to that's wearing the glasses is recording.
Oh,
and
so just this way it's not like invading on people's
so they don't want any
and all of that.
lawsuits.
All right. Well, I will look through Alibaba and we'll see. We'll see.
I might be the only person who thinks this is a bit wasteful. I mean, I don't know how much it is. And yes, I know we're in holiday season. Everyone's looking at gifting and things like that. But I just think it's a bit useless, really. Like, okay, if you're supposed to wear them so that you can shop on Alibaba, you could just shop on Alibaba on your phone or on your laptop. I don't think you need an extra pair of hardware to do so. And that kind of just leads into this Black Friday culture, because I also think it's quite wasteful. And I think that consumers, will see what the numbers are come Monday, right? Especially when we're looking at United States. But I think that consumers are becoming wiser to their disposable income. Because if you are going to buy something anyway, and it's 50% off, then you save 50%.
Right.
But if you are buying something because they told you it's been discounted, you're still paying 100% of what it actually is.
Right. And you were never going to buy it in the first place.
Exactly. No one should tell my parents I think this, because I want all of the gifts. However, I feel close with my budget, because this reasoning there's sense in what you're saying. And I say this is why, for me, especially someone who celebrated a birthday recently, right? I prefer gifts themselves, like useful gifts, because if you give me money and tell me to buy something, and I think it's not worth it, it's going to be very difficult for me to part with the cash. So going back to the AI glasses, I don't know how much they're retailing for.
About $500 or $600, I think.
Wasteful. Wasteful.
Yeah, some are 500, some are 268,
Yeah.
and you know it's an average. But I think that I like the idea. So just in case you want to get something for Christmas, I don't mind that.
Yes, I won't say no. I won't say no, but I don't know if I will pay for it for
No, but
myself.
if you think about it, right? So the whole point is that you can answer phone calls with it without picking up your phone.
like
You
that.
can browse the web. These are the speakers that are in here. So it's where your ears go, and then you can shop as different
So
talk
people
about.
who wear glasses too, can they also be medicated? Could
For
you?
people who have, so I think you can wear them on top of, depending on how thick or thin your actual glasses are. Or if you use contact lenses, you can wear them on top. So they're trying to make those variations. But yeah, you know, it's tech. That's
All
what
I
we're
see
going
is
to.
plagiarism and lawsuits because I start
Exactly,
reading
because they
from
made that.
Google and act like it's my own information.
Exactly.
All right. Rotus Oddiri, thank you
Thank
for
you so
your
much.
wonderful reportage. And again, I'm accepting gifts, and that's
Wow,
one
yeah,
of it.
Christmas is coming.
Well, all right.